What's going on, guys? It's Sacred Eagle. So today I'm gonna talk about one specific Eagles player that a lot of us have been disappointed with over the past couple of years. He was drafted 15th overall in the very first round of the 2015 NFL Draft by Chip Kelly. Hasn't had anything over 500 yards in a season. I'm pretty sure this specific wide receiver has like 640 something total yards on his career through 2 seasons. That guy is Nelson Agholor. I wasn't around on YouTube to make my review on Nelson Agholor's him getting drafted. But I was all for it. I mean, there's a lot of good things to say about him because he resembled Jeremy Maclin. He had a lot of good moments in his college career, but he did not deliver. At least not as well as he could have in Chip Kelly's system because, well, it was Chip Kelly's system, and in that third year, everything was so predictable that nothing worked out. So I didn't really put the blame on him for a lackluster season when basically every single wide receiver just could not do anything because of the same old plays that Chip Kelly would give. It was predictable. It was so easy. Shotgun passes, play action, no running up the gut. It was just all outside runs, screen plays, same old stuff that just after a year and a half, it clearly was caught up on, and they shut us down in 2015. And I don't put the blame on Nelson Agholor for not having a great rookie season because, like I said, it's Chip Kelly's system. It just didn't work. He had a couple of good plays. He proved that he could be a deep threat. He made some pretty nice catches too, but then that all vanished year 2. In year 1 of Doug Peterson's new system, the West Coast system, the Andy Reid-like system that we have, we've been used to it. He was dropping easy passes. He would get open, drop the biggest passes of his life, force penalties, mental mistakes that you wouldn't see in a guy like him, especially in a second year. And he talks about it too, and even after making that said mistake, he'll come in during his interview and be like, yeah, normally I would check with that. Like, my best example on this would be against the Seattle Seahawks, and I always come back to this game because it's a game we could have won, and he was a big reason why we lost it. I believe it was an illegal formation penalty that called back Zach Ertz's catch and run touchdown that would have given us a 2-point deficit going into halftime, I believe it was 16 to 14, but instead we went into halftime losing 16-17 against Seattle after being up 7-0, 7-6, or 7-6 rather. It just messed us up, and he came in during the interview after that game and was like, yeah, I normally am perfectly fine when I make when I line up like that. I normally check with the referees. I normally check with Coach Lewis. And, I'm honestly always on point with what I'm doing, but I don't know what happened there. And the whole season for him last year was a mental collapse. And do I blame all of it on him? No. The reason being is because there was a lot of pressure put on him and Jordan Matthews, because those are the number 1 and 2 guys. When you really look at it, we had nobody that was a key number 1, key number 2 wide receiver. Nelson Agholor was definitely not a number 1 or number 2 guy. Jordan Matthews is definitely not a number 1 or number 2 guy. Jordan Matthews is a number 2 or 3. He's definitely a lot better in the slot, and that's where we should keep him if we don't ever trade him. Say we don't trade him at all, we keep him for the next few years. I think he would fit perfectly in the slot. Nelson Agholor, he can be thrown around wherever. He has the speed, he has the potential to make big plays. Last year, there was so much put on him, so many high expectations. It looked like it got to him, and he just caused mental mistakes that he could not break free of until he took that, 2-3 week break, came back, didn't make the best plays. We saw him make a couple catches against Cincinnati when we were down 32-0. That was nothing, though. He made a really nice touchdown pass, getting wide open in the secondary of the New York Giants in Week 16. And Week 17, he was a pretty big factor as well. But aside from that, we didn't see much from him last year. This year is completely different. And I wanted to spend most of this video today talking to you guys about how Nelson Agholor could actually be a big-time game changer this year. How this year could be his year. And I'm not saying that it is his year. I'm not saying it's going to be his year. I'm saying it could. Hypothetically, it could be. If you look at the wide receivers that we've gotten, and I always break it down, same old way, Alshon Jeffrey, Torrey Smith, Jordan Matthews, Nelson Agholor. Being completely honest with you, Dorial Green-Beckham has not been improving at all this offseason. The OTAs so far, people have not been impressed by him. I've seen a lot of tweets saying he's always been bottling catches. His routes look a little shaky. He looks a little loose. He looks a little off. Blah, blah, blah. You know, I'm not impressed with what I've been hearing with him. Therefore, I think that he might be the candidate that gets cut by the time we have to, you know, get down to the 53-man roster. So, as sad as that would be, I think it's the best thing the Eagles should do. Nelson Agholor could get one more chance, and I did this whole entire thing last year. A lot of you guys might not have been here to see that, but I had the biggest, I had all the hope in the world for Nelson Agholor, and I was saying so many things that could benefit him in the system, because it's a completely different system that fits him a lot better, and in the end, it didn't really work out for him. Like I said, mental mistakes, and he admits that, and he, you know, took time during the regular season and now, of course, during the offseason to fix that. He looks a lot more confident now. I've heard a lot of good things about how the way he runs his routes. He hasn't dropped a single pass during OTAs, which is really nice to see. He's turning heads, and that's really good to hear for a guy that struggled with confidence and struggled mentally going into OTAs, going into preseason, regular season. We need somebody to step up at that wide receiver core. Alshon Jeffrey most likely will, because he's Alshon Jeffrey. You know, that's a big-time wide receiver right there. Doesn't matter his age. No one's complaining about Brandon Marshall being signed to the Giants, and he's 32. But everyone's complaining about Alshon Jeffrey because he's 28. Sure, PEDs and hamstring. He hasn't been the same Alshon Jeffrey that he was in 2013, 2014. 2015 and 2016, the biggest collapse for him. I'll admit that. But even so, this is a new beginning for him. And the one-year deal, whatever, I don't care that it's a one-year deal. I think he's going to stay with Philly for the next 2 to 3 years, depending on what kind of contract we offer him at the end of the season, depending on his productivity. And I always say a lot of things can change, but I think Alshon Jeffrey will be our #1 for a few years. And Nelson Agholor, I think he can contribute this year a lot. Well, I think this year could be the year that he maybe, I wouldn't say he breaks 1,000. I don't think he will get anywhere close to 1,000 with the crowded wide receiver core that we have right now. I would say that he can get around like 600, depending on what we get for him, you know, like depending on where we use him and depending on who is on our depth chart going into week 1. There's a lot of names at wide receiver that there's so many people. And I want to see Nelson Agholor on that depth chart. 4 or 5, wherever he may be. I want to see him there. I just think, in all seriousness, last year, I'm not going to completely put that aside. I'm not completely just going to say, yeah, goodbye to last year. It doesn't matter for him. This is the year that counts the most. All the years are taken into account. And the first 2 seasons have been very, very rough for Nelson Agholor. But do I think he should deserve another chance? Yes. I think this is the team that he needs right now, right here, right now, with Carson Wentz, with great teammates and great people like Jordan Matthews and Torrey Smith to help him out along the way. Jordan Matthews has had success in his past 3 years with us. Torrey Smith, he has a ring, you know, like those are the things that you really need to take into account. Alshon Jeffrey is one of the best in the league when 100% healthy, and I think this is the year he gets back to that 100% healthiness. In the end, guys, what do you think? Do you agree with me and my optimism? Because I'm a known optimistic Eagles fan. And a lot of people don't like that about me. A lot of people do like that about me because I'm not too negative. Tell me what you guys think in the comments about Nelson Agholor down below. Number 13, it could be a new year, new him. You know, it doesn't. Who knows what could happen this year with Nelson Agholor? He could get cut. He could be here. He could make some big noise. We could see what happens. I am excited for him. I wish the best of luck for him. Honest to God, he's a great player and he's a great guy. I just feel bad with the way the first 2 seasons have gone out for him. So tell me, like I said, tell me in the comments down below what you guys think about Nelson Agholor, and if he deserves another shot this year, or if we should just completely move on from him and bring in somebody else, like, I don't know, Greg Ward Jr. You know, tell me what you guys think in the comments down below. And thank you all for watching. I'll see you all later.